Hello, Anna and Veronica. Thanks so much for joining me this morning for a lecture taping for the interview editor role. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to work through the interview instructions as an addenda to pass on the wonderful knowledge that Anna has to Veronica, who will be our interview editor for spring. So the interview editor has the job of conducting 5 interviews, and it says email, but really we're giving you the opportunity to do both email or Zoom, either or both. But Anna ended up doing one as a Zoom interview, which went really well and was very exciting. And I do encourage that because I do feel it's a little bit more organic. But not all authors are ready to give that much time. But you can go to our archives page to see who we've already interviewed. Veronica, you'll be choosing the people you want to interview, which is a great opportunity. And generally you want to pick somebody who has a new book out, and you'll want to interview them about that new book. I added a table of contents here, so it's super easy to navigate this document. You'll use it more as a reference than as a read through. But let's go over, first of all, the tasks that you're going to be doing. And I've written the task list so that you can copy and paste it really into LinkedIn and your resume. So your first deadline is December 1st, and you're going to make a list of 10 potential new release books by authors and or artists. You have a lot of leeway there. We publish art, fiction, poetry, and nonfiction. So we really like to hit as many of those as we can. You're going to contact the authors to request the interviews. And once you get the yeses, we don't start reading the books until we get the yeses. You're going to read the books. You're going to research previous interviews and articles as well to get as much background information as possible, because we want the authors to feel that we're really engaged and really knowledgeable. We ask for about 10 interview questions per author, and these are going to be workshopped very thoroughly by both me and our faculty advisor, Sarah Byron. So they'll go through several draft phases. You'll correspond with the author through email, so you'll send the questions. Then you'll write a title and introduction for the interview. You'll copy, edit, and format the interview. We're seeking replies to emails within 48 hours, so you're going to have close watch over the SR Gmail account. You're going to update your weekly tasks in the workflow spreadsheet and compose a weekly status report. You'll look at this instruction sheet each week and let me know whatever changes you made to it. And then at the end of the semester, you'll tape this lecture for the next intern. And that lecture is the lecture that we're doing right now will be at this link as soon as we're done. So one thing that I ask you to do right away is to make a workflow bookmark folder. And what that means is you're going to have a bookmark folder where you collect everything you use in your job. And that way you can open everything into tabs immediately, and especially before our meetings. We're going to meet 7 times in spring, starting the very first week of class. And so when we meet, they're short meetings, they're half an hour. So we'll need to very quickly be able to navigate through this instruction sheet, an interview spreadsheet, the interview calendar, the SR Gmail, your questions page, which will be in the interviews folder, the Goodreads new releases page, and the SR NetGalley page will help you find the books that you're going to cover. Anna, could you talk a little bit about how you used your bookmarks?
Yeah, no, so they were easy if I wanted to like pull up, oh, I thought I was muted. If I wanted to like pull up the instruction sheet for, say I was going to go write the emails to the authors. I wanted like to have it side by side. That way I have the template of what this, I guess, SR's, protocol should be for, and we're going to get to this, but nurturing the authors, making sure like we're using language that is, I guess, in line with how SR, sends out their emails. But yeah, no, it was really, really helpful. And I really liked it because it's easy, just click it. You have all the, folders, the little bookmarks there. And yeah.
Okay, great. Speaking of Gmail protocol and nurturing authors, so the first time you log into the SR Gmail, you'll need a code. So we can actually do that after we tape this lecture. And since we have so many people sending and receiving email through the SR Gmail, I use a system of labels. I'll show those to you here. The everything comes into the inbox and then gets filed into these different labels. So you have a folder called interviews, and everything that comes in from the folks who you're communicating with will go into this label. So that way we'll be able to very quickly look and see what the latest correspondence was, who's got their work in, et cetera, et cetera. So the when you're So for the interviews section, it's a little bit different because you want to save all of the emails in that folder. And that's because our content coordinator uses those to update our spreadsheet and make sure that we have all of the materials that we need, because we do need to gather a lot of different materials to build the pages, the interview pages. But every single email that you send on behalf of the magazine is a representation of you, me, Super System Review, ASU. So we are very thorough with emails and very professional. And Anna, do you want to talk a little bit about what it was like using the SR Gmail?
Yeah, no. So using the SR Gmail was really, really helpful. And Trish is obviously really helpful in helping me, I guess, formulate more professional emails because I wasn't at that level where I was able to articulate professionally what I wanted to say. I was more in that formal, hey, you're my best friend, like this is a little email. So we definitely had to work through that a little bit. But, you gain a lot of like really, really important skills on how to, talk to people in a professional, but also like still having your personality shine through in the emails. But yeah, it's really, really helpful.
Yeah, that's a good point, striking that balance, right? And one of the ways that we worked was when Anna was drafting her emails, she would just leave them in the drafts folder and usually text me and say, hey, I have a draft in there. Can you look at it? And at the beginning of the semester, whenever if I would make substantial changes or um, make something that I thought was a teaching moment, make a change that I thought was a teaching moment, I would explain it. But then then in the middle, we were really just proofreading, making sure everything was right. And I would just hit send. And then Anna just started sending them by herself. So it's a progression just until you get the hang of it and feel comfortable. My goal is for you to feel confident and comfortable sending these emails. So, speaking of nurturing, we really want each contributor to feel like they are part of a family. We want them to feel that we truly admire them and respect their work. So, we want to describe our editorial process very thoroughly. And we also want to contact them pretty thoroughly because a lot of times we're doing work behind the scenes while they don't know that. And so we like to send frequent emails telling them where we are in the editorial process, ask questions about them, show empathy for tight schedules, uh, view the correspondence as nurturing a professional relationship. So we have a bunch of sample emails about how to do that. Next, I have the editorial timeline for interviews, and this will be really helpful. So December 1st, I'm going to look for a list of 10 potential books that you'd like to do, Veronica. And I'll approve that, and we'll send an email out to those initial authors and hopefully get some good news back. It would be great if we get those during break, because that way you can use the break for some nice drink some tea and do some reading. And then the rest of the editorial calendar is right here. We also have this on the Google Calendar. So I would suggest that you use this interview timeline calendar. I taped a little lecture about this yesterday. You can view that item only, and you can also look at it by schedule here. So it makes it super clear. And you could subscribe to this as well if you want to merge it with your own calendar. That's basically, you're just going to go to settings, and you can integrate the calendar by using this embed code. So if that's something that would be helpful for you in keeping track of those deadlines, that'd be great. So the first thing that you're going to do, obviously, is find books and authors. And we do that really through, did you do Goodreads and NetGalley? Is that how you found yours, Anna?
Mhm. Yeah, I did both Goodreads, NetGalley, and I also went to Amazon for like new releases. That's how I found one of the books, Nicole Perkins' books.
Yeah. Oh, the Nicole Perkins. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So you can find, what's really fun to do is to find releases that are going to come out around May, because our issue will launch May 1st. We find that authors are super interested in getting an interview out right around their launch time, because it helps them advertise their work. And it's also fun because usually you'll get either an ARC, an advanced review copy that they'll mail you. So we got one from, who'd you get an ARC from, Anna?
I think it might have been Margot's Genocide.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
So they mailed you Margot's book. And then, or they'll send you a PDF, which is nice. So once you get an idea of who you might want to grab, NetGalley is a service that publishers use to give advanced copies and advanced information about their work. But you can also find information about new releases on Goodreads and, like Anna said, on Amazon. So after you're done reading, then we start getting into writing the questions. So we have some tips here on how to do that. And you've just done the interview assignment too. So you know that we do product, process, and personal questions. So we do have some samples of questions here that you can start with. And I'll show you what the questions look like that we work on. So here we had, Margot ended up not being able to answer these questions because she was in a wildfire that ruined her home. So she's remediating that fire damage, and she does want to do this in May. I hope she will answer the questions because her book is beautiful, and Anna, I would love for you to still have this publication. But so as you can see, I mean, you can start this today. You can create your own question list today with, some of these more stock questions that we use. We do use some kind of stock questions, but then we add personalization to them. So that does make it a little bit easier. And then once they're here, we workshop them together with Sarah. So, you're never by yourself. Anna, talk to us about writing the questions.
Yeah, so one thing that, stuck with me as I was doing it was Trish saying, the first draft is never perfect. You can't write, you're not going to sit down first time and write a perfect question. You're going to like keep on changing it. And that's what we ended up doing. We had the stock questions. I added my own questions. And then you go into these workshops with Trish and Sarah, and they really work through what I guess could be better about the question. Like, what I think the main thing is to just not make it so general, make it specific to the author because, well, I know Joyce, one of her questions, oh, we worked through it, but she still found it too general. So, you're always going to have that. But she's also Joyce Carol Oates. Love
Yeah.
her. But, that's just to be expected. But yeah, no, I wouldn't worry too much about, well, I wouldn't worry about too much about the questions because they're going to be workshopped and edited. So, the first draft is not going to be what you're going to send out to the authors.
That's such great advice, Anna. I love that. And speaking of Joyce, so Anna sent her list of authors she wanted to interview, and on the list was Joyce Carol Oates. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, she's gonna say no, right?
Yeah.
Because she's published 140 books and she's 83 years old and she's one of the most famous people we know. But she said yes. And we worked on those questions so hard. I mean, we looked at so many other interviews and found her to get a little grumpy with certain questions. So we were trying to avoid questions where she'd get a little grumpy. Um, but it was a great lesson in, if you want someone, if you want to interview someone super famous, go for it. Sometimes I find that the more famous, the more busy, the maybe the interview isn't as engaged um, as somebody who's got two books like Meidervang. We did a video interview with, and she was amazing, so gracious and kind and lovely. So as Anna said, you can work really hard on the questions, but you can never predict how the interviewer is going to behave. So I've made your spots here on the interview spreadsheet. I know this is a lot to look at, so let me walk you through it. So Anna interviewed Meidervang, Elizabeth McCracken, Joyce Carol Oates, and Nicole Perkins. And this is also a brain for us. So this has their contact info, their website, the latest book, the request date, some other dates here, and then just some editorial check marks. But on this, you can see who we've interviewed before. And at the very end of this, we have our people who didn't respond. So people we've tried but didn't respond. And this is dating all the way back to 2015. So there are some just amazing writers on this list that I would love to try again. If you see anybody you like, some said no because of their schedule, some just didn't write back. But we have interviewed probably 200 people and a lot of really, really, really famous people like Roxane Gay, Carmen Jimenez Smith, Major Jackson, the Meg Wolitzer. So really, when you're choosing, look at this spreadsheet and see who we've already done. You'll also want to look at the archives page of SR. So when we go to the SR website and go to archives, this will show you everyone we've interviewed. I'm happy to interview people again if they have a new book. But one of the things that the interviews allow us to do really is to show goodwill in the literary community and also to expand our community. So we interview 5 people. When the interview is published, they share that with their networks. That's goodwill for them and goodwill for us. Okay, so we have just endless templates. So you can read over here all of the templates, email to an author. Once you choose your authors, you're either going to email them directly or email the publicist. It depends on if you can find an email for the author themselves. Sometimes they want everyone to go through their publicist. It's kind of funny that, Joyce Carol Oates, we email her directly. She still teaches at Princeton. So you just send her an email at her Princeton address, right? Oh my gosh. I don't know what I'm going to be doing at 83, but I don't think I'm going to be teaching at Princeton. So we also have templates for replying to interview acceptances, updates, emails for sending questions, emails after receiving answers, email for any email you could ever possibly send is right here. Anna, do you want to talk a little bit about the templates?
Yeah, no. So what I found to be really, really helpful was looking at like in the Gmail,
Oh,
the folders and seeing
yeah,
how past interview editors sent their emails just to get some ideas on how you want to word things,
yeah,
what you should keep in terms of like when you're first sending them out, keep like what SR what they have done and stuff. But just really just like getting familiar with the language and then sort of mimicking that in your own email. That way you can customize and personalize, but still, very much SR est, I guess.
That's such a good point. And you can go into this interviews folder and read Grace. Grace was the interview editor for issue 27. And then you can pop in here and read the correspondence that Anna did. And you'll settle into your own rhythm, but it is definitely nice to look at how other people were communicating. And you know what, also, you get a little taste of how the authors are different
Yeah.
because you got to respond to them, right? Joyce will send a word.
Yeah. No, she did.
Okay. And then we have, oh, you know what? I may move Zoom interviews before writing titles and introductions. This is a new section, Anna. Thank you for writing it. When I think that in our language, we're going to offer a Zoom or an email interview. And so here's a checklist for how to do the Zoom interview. Basically, you're just going to create a personal Zoom link. And Anna has great instructions here about how to correspond with the author and how to capture the interview itself. Anna, you want to talk about that? Because that was a first for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was a first. I was a little nervous at first, but my was amazing. She was really, good at, I guess, communicating, I guess. So first I requested the Zoom and then we settled on a date and time. And then it's important to make it your Zoom room just because you're going to record it and upload it to the cloud. That way we can upload it to the SR, social media pages and YouTube and stuff. But yeah, no, it was really, really fun. I didn't do any like like Zoom interviews, but I feel like that would have been helpful just so you get the language down because I had to like think on my feet, like how should I respond without being but yeah, because on email you have time to, think about your response and then make it professional. But I guess face to face or face screen to face, it
Mhm,
was a lot different, but it was still very, very fun. So I think if you, end up doing a Zoom interview, you'd really like it.
mhm. Great. So one of the last things you'll do is write the title and introduction for the 5 interviews. And these are very clear instructions. There isn't a lot of creativity or wiggle room here because it's a clear format. So you can read all of the examples on the website. We have chosen some of them here for you. But what you're going to do is write this and format the interview and then send it to the SR Gmail so that we can build out the page. And once the page is built, it's going to look like this. Oh, I'm not even logged in. That's weird. So, yeah. So, this interview was conducted via Zoom or email by Veronica Gonzalez. That's what that'll look like for you. And then you'll have the introduction and then the interview in text form. Now, when we do have a Zoom interview, the YouTube will be embedded right here. So I'm not sure if I'll check and see if that's ready with MITRE and show that to you later. And then one of the last things you're going to do is write an editor's note. The editor's note will be read at the launch party, and it will also appear on the editor's statements for each issue. So you can read prior editor statements on each of the issues. We started those in issue 26, so it goes back to those. And this is something that we'll go through several rounds of revision. You're just going to email it to me, and we'll go back and forth on it. And do you want to say a word about that, Anna?
Well, I'm working on it,
Mm,
but yes, now I know Hannah was talking to me because she had did hers, but yeah, she's wrote the first draft and she's still making it. And I guess same thing with what I said about the questions. You want to stay away from being too general. So make it specific to the current issue that you're working on, touch on, specific things that you like about it and just, yeah, hit all those points and you should be good. But I can't wait to start mine whenever that is. Just kidding. I'll get it done this week and I'll
okay.
email that to you.
Okay, great. So that is the instructions. Those are the instructions, I should say. And Anna, any last words before I stop the recording?
Just try not to be too anxious like I was. I really had no reason to be anxious. I think it was just I didn't think I would meet the standards of what SR or of SR, but you have all the help in the world. You have Trish, you have Sarah, all your other editors are amazing. So, if at any point you feel like you need some extra help or you have a question, just don't hesitate to reach out because they're here to help you because they want to see you grow and succeed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that message. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.